How normal household cleaners can be devastating to your health. I found this out a long time ago. When my husband and I were first dating, my husband got very sick. He turned up to my doorstep where I was living in my little unit, and he had just shaven and he had all these nicks all over his skin, and it was like they weren't clotting, like, you know, they just slowly bleeding. And I'm like, dude, what's going on? What's going on here? And he's like, oh, I don't know, something's not quite right. I might go to the doctor a bit later. And I said, I think maybe you should go to the doctor, you know. And his mum had obviously told him the same thing. Like, seriously, we were like 19, 20. We were very young. And, you know, you don't always listen to your parents. But anyway, he ended up ringing me later that day to tell me that he had been admitted in the intensive care unit. So he'd been taken to emergency and he'd been admitted to the intensive care unit here in our city. And he said that his blood wasn't clotting, and the doctors had told him that he was very lucky that he hadn't gone to work, because he was supposed to go to work, and if he had fallen off a ladder or cut himself during his work, they told him that he would have bled to death because his blood was not clotting, which is very scary. And you know, at the time I was, 19, and I was very worried about him, all lovey-dovey. And it got to the stage where a couple of years later, we came to this point and we were wondering, what had happened and how had this happened. And he said, I don't even think he told me at the time what had actually happened, but he came and we had this conversation and we were wondering why this had happened to him. Because this is an ongoing thing. This has not stopped just at the hospital. He has had hearing issues and had a ringing in his ear. So it's not like it was just that one little stint and that was it. He's actually had ongoing things that have happened. And this was like 17, 18 years ago. So this has affected his life. And we had this conversation, I don't know, a couple of years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, when we had little kids. Really little kids, so we were in the baby stage. And he mentioned that one thing that he thought could possibly have caused this was when he was working, so we worked in a supermarket, that's kind of how we met, he was pulling washing powder off the top shelf above the shelves to put onto the shelf. And what had actually happened is he'd spilt this on his face and he had breathed in all of these chemicals from the washing powder. And I'm like, well, duh, of course. After learning all of this, stuff about chemicals, I'd realized that, of course, that is why your autoimmune system was affected, because these chemicals were not supposed to be in your system. And it was just like, wow, we've come this far and realized that these chemicals that we use in our everyday household are not good for our system. Now, that is a very extreme case, I agree. However, what if we are using these chemicals every day, numerous times a day? We're using it on our clothes, we're using it on our dishes, we are using them to wipe our bench tops, we are using it to clean our floors, we are using it in our hair, we are using it literally everywhere. Don't you think that even in small amounts, these chemicals are going to affect your system? Yeah, they are. Your body has this wonderful mechanism to heal, and if your body is always trying to detoxify these chemicals out of your system, it's going to affect you. So it's really powerful to know that, yes, I'm aware that I still have things in my house that I don't like, but I'm aware of this and I know, okay, I can only use this sometimes. I cannot use it all the time because it is going to affect me. And I choose to now. Some people start removing chemicals from their household for environmental reasons, and that makes them feel good. However, I agree. Yes, do that. Great. If that makes you feel good, then go and do it. But actually be proactive and do the research and go, okay, these are not good for my health. These are not good for my health. I should not have them in my house, or at least have the foresight to realize that maybe I shouldn't be using them all the time and maybe I could look at other alternatives. Because these things do actually influence your autoimmune system. They do. and not in a positive way. I've got another friend who had an incident many years ago. She went and got her hair done, and she had she went and got her hair colored. This was many years ago, and after that incident she had blurry vision and dizziness, and then she's been suffering with this autoimmune issue for so many years that it's not funny, because it's affected her immune system. It's affected her autoimmune, properties. It's not good for your system. So please be open enough to do your research. And yeah, I used to think that people using, homemade cleaning products were hippies. Like, I really did. Until I actually did the research and realized that it's not just about saving the environment. It's actually about saving your health. It really is. So yeah, be open to looking for new solutions and trying different things to reduce the amount of toxins that your body is actually taking in, so that you can have better health. That's what we all want. Yeah, it's not actually, one thing I did learn, because I've actually done a lot of things on natural health these days, and one thing that I've learned is the one ingredient that is probably the most toxic is actually the smell. It's actually, they put things in it to make it smell nice, to mask the smell of the actual washing powder or the actual detergent. They actually put fragrance in to mask the smell, and that, I have found out, is the most toxic thing that you can actually come into contact with, which is nuts, right? Because it's just crazy. But anyway, yeah, I've had this other friend who used to tell me that she loves the smell of bleach. Now, I don't like the smell of bleach. I actually can't stand the smell of bleach, and I never really have. However, it's kind of like a subconscious thing, and you are trained to think that clean should have a smell. And that's what I told this lady who was talking to me about it. I don't know how you can use all these alternative products because they just don't smell. And I'm like, that's actually a good thing, because the smell is actually the most toxic thing for you. And yeah, when you realize that, you've got to change your whole perspective, and you've got to change your whole thinking. Well, clean shouldn't really have a smell. Yeah, it's something really hard to get your head around. Yeah, feel free to do your own research on this. There's plenty of information out there on different safe cleaners that you can actually use in your household. Some of the best that I have found is plain old microfiber. You don't need anything else to go with it. It grabs all the dirt and grease, and I know that it's safe for me and my children. Okay, well, have a good day. I hope you found this information useful. And if you have got a natural cleaner that you love, or a recipe for a natural cleaner that you like to use, then please put it down below and share it with other people. Okay, bye. Have a good day.